You are a final year student and you've started applying for entry-level roles in the job market. Now, as much as this is quite an exciting phase in your career, as you're going to be navigating the job market for the very first time as a prospective employee, it would also be a fair assessment to make that most graduates are not prepared from a mental and a competence level to really navigate this arduous exercise called job seeking. As an early career coach, the approach that I usually take to assess my graduate clients is firstly combating any feelings of angst as well as uncertainty through equipping them with the necessary information as well as the resources. Secondly, what I also do is I then help them better understand what is recruitment, how does this process look like, and how is it managed from an internal perspective as an HR, a graduate recruiter, but also externally as someone who's a prospective candidate. Let me tell you, many grads are completely flawed on the number of hurdles that they need to jump as a prospective candidate before they actually get to receive that job offer in hand. Many candidates are not aware or are only aware of the interviewing phase, which is obviously the most common screening exercise in the recruitment process. So that is why I feel like it's important for me to present a new series, and I'm calling it a Grad Candidate Guide to Grad Recruitment. What I'll be doing is I'm going to be expanding on the 5 core screening exercises that take place during the recruitment process. Now, ambitious professionals, it is important to remember that your CV and your candidacy is going to be tested in various degrees, and that is why one needs to be prepared but also patient in terms of what lies ahead after you have submitted your CV on a company's job portal. Now, before we begin with this video, I need to first acquaint you with a very important term which I'm sure you've heard called screening. What is screening? How does one actually define this? Well, for starters, screening is an exercise, or I'd call a process, that recruiters follow to find a suitable candidate to submit to their preliminary shortlist that will be going to the hiring manager. This critical step in the hiring process allows them to be able to evaluate prospective job applicants against a predefined criterion. Obviously, the end goal is to find suitable candidates for that specific role. Now, what we need to know is that screening's primary purpose obviously is to filter out all the unqualified candidates earlier on, really saving the time and the resources for the graduate recruiter. So, the very first screening process that usually takes place is when a candidate actually submits their CV in the company's job portal. Can you guys guess what it is? It is the most hated one. Okay, which one is it? I think I hear the word ATS. I think I hear the word ATS, which stands for Applicant Tracking System, is a software application that is designed to help companies manage and as well as be able to streamline the entire recruitment and hiring process. It does this by acting as a central repository for all the job openings, candidate applications, their CVs, their cover letters, any other attachments, and of course, communication. What it does is that it manages the candidates by sorting out their CVs while also tracking the candidates throughout the different hiring stages that exist. What ATS is not, it is not a hiring barrier that swallows all the poorly constructed CVs into a black hole, so they say. Because that again is the rhetoric and it is the conspiracy theories that are basically thrown out there about ATS, which are all false. They are misleading, and must I even say, I have to say, it is fear-mongering tactics that are used by unqualified CV writers who've never worked in recruitment to lure desperate job seekers to buy into their so-called CV revamp service. Let me help you beat the ATS system so that your CV can get noticed. Okay? These are one of the things that they say. Now, when it comes to ATS, all CVs, both good and bad, will all get submitted into the ATS. Because graduate recruitment is such a high volume recruitment, meaning that a single vacancy can easily attract tens and thousands of candidate applications, graduate recruiters do use ATS quite a lot. They rely on ATS to help manage that entire recruitment project from beginning to end. Graduate recruiters love ATS. They love the software because what it does, it saves them time, it saves them money by actually improving the quality of the hire, by fast tracking that overall recruitment process. Now, it's also important to note that when you apply, number one, to a large organization, or when you apply through an online form, or when you apply through certain job sites, for example, Indeed and even LinkedIn, there's a very high chance that the recruitment team in that said company is using the system, is using an ATS. Now that you've got a better understanding, at least I hope you have, on what ATS is and what it is used for, I want to actually debunk a very infamous conspiracy theory, right? So, alright, why do I still receive an immediate rejection for a role? Just after applying, if ATS is not rejecting my CV, Okay, there is this conspiracy that is circulating that the reason that you're getting an immediate rejection for a role that you've just applied for is because your CV template is not ATS optimized. This is not true. Many people believe that when you receive an immediate rejection email, let's say you've applied and let's say a minute later after applying for a job, the ATS system once again it's doing its rounds. The reason why you have received an immediate rejection, if so, is that you've answered no to what we call a knockout question. So what is a knockout question? So these questions are used to screen for key criteria such as, for example, I'm looking for a graduate that has specific software skills or a professional required qualification. I'm looking for a certain number of years of experience. So let's make an example. You're applying for a graduate program and you get a knockout question just before you submit your application that says, do you have less than 2 years of work experience? Yes or no, right? And if you put on the tick box, you put the answer no. It is that knockout question that is going to auto-reject your application after submitting your job application. It is not ATS. Knockout questions, like I said, they are predetermined screening questions that are set up by the recruiter as well as the hiring manager for a specific job requisition. What it does is, it is to ensure that only candidates that meet the minimum requirements are considered for the recruiter's perusal. Now, it's also important to note that even though your CV was rejected by the recruiter, they are still able to view your CV in the ATS. There is not a black hole that exists where all the rejected applications are transported to, but rather all those applications can still be accessed on the CV or on the system, but they will not be prioritized by the recruiter for further screening for this particular job requisition. Okay, now stay with me. This is a lot. Stay with me, ambitious professionals, because what I want to do is I want to add another layer when it comes to understanding what ATS is or isn't, and that is the topic of artificial intelligence, or what we call AI. Most ATSs nowadays have AI integrated into its software. This is to assist with screening or CV screening as well as candidate matching. Now, remember that graduate programs can receive tens and thousands of job applications. This means that it would take weeks trying just to sort through those applications. Now that we have AI, or now with the integration of AI, it basically helps the graduate recruiters to rank candidates based on their CV alignment with the job description that obviously was built and put into the ATS or created by the recruiter. The AI in the ATS would then score the candidates on a scale from 0 to 100 based on what? Keyword matching, skills, and experiences. CVs that are considered to not be suitable would obviously receive a lower ranking. Now, it's important to note that AI is still a new and evolving technology, and that AI being integrated into the ATS does not completely remove the graduate recruiter from doing their job. The AI has not yet reached that level of intelligence and sophistication to allow a graduate recruiter to be completely removed from the screening process. We still need people, and we still need a human reviewing the CV, as AI or the AI feature in the ATS still lacks nuance and complexity to truly evaluate the candidates. And that is why manual screening is still very vital in the recruitment process. That is what I'm going to be discussing in the next video. But in summary, let's do this. ATS does not swallow CVs ambitious professionals. ATS does not reject CVs ambitious professionals. All CVs that are available in the ATS for the recruiters' perusals, all of them are there. Recruiters are still the ones that are driving the entire screening process, and not a Robocop called ATS. Do not believe the lies, the conspiracy theories, and the rhetoric. I'm Olivia M, and I'm in the business of transforming graduate potential into professional excellence.